And we are live. Welcome everybody to a wonderful Q&A with Kirk Thornton and Marie Westbrook. They are with us in the studio. Thank you both for being here.
Thanks for having us. This is really exciting.
Yes, thank you for hosting an experience for us so that we can sit and relax and you can take care of us.
Of course. First up, I just wanted to ask both of you, I know that you grew up in a kind of between the West and the Midwest, in a small town. I was just curious, both of your upbringings and what kind of got you into performance, into entertainment. Like, what was that path like for either of you?
So, I grew up in Idaho, so the West.
Cool.
And that's a big topic because people want to say like the Midwest, but we're like it's west of Wyoming, and Wyoming is the western frontier. So, I grew up in a small town in Idaho. Did not have any intentions of being an actor or anything like that. That was just not something, I grew up thinking about. So I kind of veered into it a really random way. Like somebody kind of approached me and talked to me about getting into it. And I was like, what? I don't know. I don't really know anything about that. So meanwhile, I kind of did that also while going to college, pursuing my physics and chemistry degree. So
you're smart.
Yeah. So, it's in there somewhere. Yeah. I haven't used that all that much, but in the recent years, although it's fun when I get to have medical scripts and things, I usually am pretty good with all that lingo. So I used to be a teacher, and I worked at space camp. I taught space camp, which was amazing because as a kid,
cool.
I always wanted to go to space camp. I don't know about you guys, but that was I saw Space Camp the movie and wanted to go so bad. And I got to go, but as a counselor, they run you through the whole thing.
Right.
So anyway, meanwhile, I kind of would go back and forth with acting. I actually got my SAG card working on a Showtime. I had a waitress part where my line was, I think it was, "Can I get you anything?" to David Strathairn on a Showtime show in Salt Lake. That's where I got. That was my first job, and then and then eventually but that's where I got my time early. And then eventually I moved to Seattle because that's where you go. I was up there. I have a lot of family up there. And then I got a voiceover audition, and I thought, how am I got to figure out how to record this. I had to find somebody to record and put it on a CD. I had to take it to my agent's office because it was my theatrical agent. And I booked it. And it was for Nintendogs. And then I came out to LA, and it was a similar thing. My theatrical agent sent me in for an audition for Star Wars: The Old Republic. And then he called me. He's like, "Oh, Marie, so they want you to come in and read for this." This is after audition. And I was like, did I book it? It's like, yeah, you should probably get a voiceover agent. So that was how it all started. It's again, not a very typical.
Yeah.
No.
Different things entered my life, and I decided to take those paths.
The opportunity.
I decided to look into things, and I would never be here if I hadn't sort of been open to other things in life.
And Kirk, you were born in the South, yeah?
No.
Where were you born?
Well, actually, I was thinking you probably booked us together because we're both from the Northwest.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, where are you from?
I grew up in Oregon.
Oh, my mom lives there.
Yeah, and I was born in California, and then we moved to Oregon when I was really young. And unlike Marie, I knew I was going to be an actor from the second. I mean, prior to kindergarten, whenever they pulled out the 8mm movie camera, I leapt in front of it. And
that is amazing.
And all through, gosh, I remember doing plays in elementary school, in middle school, and then in high school, and then I auditioned for acting schools, one up in Canada that was really a wonderful school. But and I was always, in high school and college, I was always kind of the big dog, and I was pretty full of myself. And then I auditioned for this acting school up in Canada, and I went. Well, actually, I got deported on my way, but
that's a different story.
That's a whole different story. But eventually, I got there and went in, and after completing the summer acting program, my teacher sent a letter to me, and In the meantime, I was up auditioning for another acting school at the University of Washington.
Yeah.
They call it professional actor training, and it's very old, traditional theater training with voice and speech and movement and mime and Stanislavski and
very serious.
and you're in studio with 15 other actors from 9 in till 11 at night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Conservatory.
Yeah, it was conservatory, and for 3 years. And so I was auditioning for that, and I got it. And they auditioned like 500 people and take 15. Anyway, I got lucky because somebody backed out. Anyway, but so I didn't get the letter that they sent, and I was doing my first production up at the University of Washington.
Yeah.
And my mom brought the letter up to me, and she said, I wasn't going to give you this, but I think I can give it to you now. And the letter said, "Get out of acting. You're never going to make it."
Yeah.
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah, serious.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow. And then
Who's laughing now?
right.
And the funny thing is, while I was in acting school, I got put on probation. If you didn't meet the standards of our acting school, you got put on probation. If you didn't, and if you still didn't get up there, they'd kick you out.
Yeah.
Right.
And I got put on probation for voice and speech twice.
How do you get put on probation for voice and speech? Like for saying something?
My voice and speech was not to the.
To the caliber.
I was not meeting the standards that they wanted.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah, I had my acting teacher who I idolized like a god. Once I was in the middle of a monologue, and he pounds on his desk and says, "Thornton, I hate you worse than anyone in the world." And I'm like, "What'd I do? What'd I do?" He said, "You said Ben instead of bin. It's bin, Thornton. It's bin."
Oh my god. That's hardcore.
Yeah.
Oh, he was intense. We called him the hot rat.
And
Yeah,
so
with good reason.
when you left conservatory, because you graduated from that school, yeah. Was your intention like I'm going to be doing theater? Were you like I'm a Shakespeare guy? What did you think your trajectory was going to be?
I thought I was going to do theater. I went straight from the UW down to Oregon Shakespeare Festival.
Oh, yeah.
I did Oregon Shakes for a couple of years, and then I said, and our acting teacher had pounded in us that actors have to go to New York. So I should have stayed at Oregon Shakes a couple more years, but I went to New York and pursued regional theater and off Broadway and that kind of thing, and then eventually moved to LA. And went to the dry cleaner and ran into a friend who I'd worked with at Oregon Shakespeare Festival, and he asked me if I wanted to do voiceover.
Really?
Really?
Yeah.
Sure.
Right.
That's a good way to get into it.
Yeah, right. The laundromat.
That's
I never
amazing.
thought.
And what kind of voiceover
Anime.
was that? And that was anime.
It was
That
anime.
was the first thing.
And was that transition for either of you going into voiceover, right? And now you're doing these anime or even video games to a certain extent. Like, did anyone prepare you? Like, this is a different performance style. Like, you can't really approach it is heightened in a sense. Did anyone prepare you for that? Like, what was your first experience where you were like, oh, I have to kind of fix my technical brain to this, or was there any experience like that for you?
You?
I knew from seeing anime that there was definitely a certain style to it. And I have had people tell me, it's definitely more dramatic.
Right.
So because it's easy for me to go into my video game, which is a little more grounded type sort of performances, and kind of having to lift those up sometimes. And
Yeah, a little bit
really
higher.
bring in that. But there wasn't like I didn't have like a big conversation.
Yeah,
But
with
my
everyone.
characters were also big, so it's kind of that I've done. So they kind of I
Kind of
already
move
had
each
to
other.
go into it being
Right.
like larger than life because they are larger than life.
Right.
So yeah, how about
Yeah,
you?
for you?
I was always a character actor on stage.
Oh.
Yeah.
I always, would play. I never played myself. And when I was in New York, I was working on that, being able to play myself more, because I knew that if I was going to get into film and TV, I had to do that.
Right.
So, so that was work for me. To play myself was really hard. I could play characters like crazy. So the transition into anime, I kept on as a character actor. I play lots of different characters. They bring me in. I play 3 or 4 different roles. I'd be happy. I'd be taking shit.
Yeah.
And it's just God, it's just recently I'm starting to play more closer to me.
Right. Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
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 After all this, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Do you-
interesting.
And that's why I'm getting work now, is
Right.
because the work I get now is a lot of times they hire me because I can play myself.
Yeah.
There's a lot of live action
Yeah.
dubs.
Yeah.
And a lot of the anime actors have trouble with that because they're used to,
Right.
you know,
Yeah,
they're
yes,
used to
yes.
acting, and it's
Right.
like, no, stop acting.
Yeah.
Don't do
right,
that.
right.
Don't do that.
Right. Yeah, that's it. That's it. And I started out my dubbing experience
Yeah.
was live action dubbing. That's where. I
Oh,
started.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so
I did
interesting.
that before anime. I
Yeah.
was actually talking to Kirk about anime while we were working on the project.
Now, how many projects had you done when we worked together?
I think at that point maybe 3.
Okay.
That was a crazy one.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that was the crazy one where the woman like pees on the ashes of her husband. Was that the one that we worked on?
Yes.
That was so
Oh
great.
my God.
Yeah.
Oh, I completely forgot about that.
Yes,
Oh
yes.
God, yeah, you were
And it was
wonderful.
everything. Thank you. That was and then the end with the car accident. Oh, it was
Well, that sounds
it
like
was a
crazy
true test
project.
of my
Yeah.
Range.
I
My
did do a
God.
lot of crazy stuff. But this is a real person too, a real actor
Right.
doing all this crazy
Yeah.
stuff. So
Yeah.
What was the
Kind of
original
keeping it
language? Do you
it
remember?
was from Spain.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Spanish.
Do you have a medium that even to this day that you're still like, oh, anything theater, if I can get my hands on it, or if it's a Shakespeare festival and they're interested in me, I'm always like game to take it, or is it more like you just kind of it's always the next thing?
Well, right now, what I love doing most, and it's like, oh God, please let me get that. Let me get that.
Right.
Mocap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Performance
Yeah,
capture?
it's performance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doing a play, I haven't done a play in so long
Mm.
that I think I could,
Right.
but it scares me.
Right.
Yeah.
It's all the memorization, even the memorization for mocap is,
Yeah.
I mean, I see a lot of actors relaxing and I'm just get my lines. I don't want to look stupid out there on the mocap stage.
Yeah.
And it takes me, it takes me a while to memorize.
Yeah. Well, I know.
I mean,
That's
short
what I
term
thought
memory
about
is fine.
when you aren't in practice of doing it.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
In the
Oh, yeah.
beginning of, and I'm sure back when you were doing all sorts of live stage acting, you've gotten the practice of it.
Oh,
You
yeah.
can quickly memorize things, but when you haven't done it for a while, it is sort of jarring
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
have to memorize
You
something.
can sit in the wing and be like, okay, I gotta know my cue. I
Yeah.
have to go on
Yeah.
when I go
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite character? This is one from the chat. Do you have a favorite character that you voiced? Is there ever one that you were like, man, I wish I knew this character, or I really just I sit so comfortably here. I could do this all day. Or even just or even a project that you worked on that was just such a great experience. Maybe it was the actors that were around you, it was the ensemble, it was the director, where you were like, man, I'm glad I booked this. I'm glad that this came along.
I don't know if I feel like part of what I really enjoy about all of this is I love that everything's different.
Yeah, every time.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love that about voice acting. I can't even express, like with on camera, it's like, oh, she's blonde, or we really wanted a brunette. Like, there's no, oh well, you can't dye your hair. It's just you're just kind of stuck in this certain thing where this I can be, Hanami, this like beastly masculine creature, or like a sexy, vampire vixen, all the things, or like a tough, I do the voice for, I don't know if for the Raid Shadow Legends, all their commercials.
yeah,
I do Zargala, who
Really?
is hilarious, and it's hilarious because they take these characters and put them into real life situations, and it's amazing. And that is one thing I think it was really cool. Something I had no idea what I was getting myself into, and I would get on the phone with Polarium in Ukraine,
Yeah.
and do that every
Uh-huh.
few months and work on it, and it was so cool. And I got to be friends with the creative director, who also ended up being Gaelic, who's my orc husband,
Oh.
and we became friends. But and then all this craziness happened, and so I'm trying to keep tabs on all of them in
Wow.
Ukraine. But
Yeah.
that was a really cool. It's been a very cool experience that has just kind of kept going. And
Right.
I don't
And
know,
every
but I
new
love
thing
all
is-
of it, and I love all the genres. Honestly,
Right.
Yeah.
I love that I can do,
Nintendo.
narrate a documentary,
Right.
or like a promo, and then animate. I love that I get to have I enjoy all of it.
Mhm.
Genuinely.
Yeah.
For you?
It's
Hard
very
question.
no, it's very similar. I love what I like best is something that really challenges me.
Yeah.
If I feel that it's difficult and that I've got to overcome something in order to do it, that's my favorite thing to do. As far as favorite projects, I really liked the thing um, that I did, Love, Death, and Robots.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
I've known the head of Blur Animation for a while. We've
Yeah.
done several little things together. And I'm just always so blown away by the work he does.
Yeah.
That I just felt really lucky to get to work on that show. So there's a high point. But
Yeah.
like you said, every new thing that comes along is fun.
It's fun. It's fun to be able to just do all these different characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
And then, as time has gone on, like what has been your, you started out doing mostly things just in like professional studios, or did you guys have a personal studio before the pandemic really kind of knocked the feet out from pretty much every voice actor, or every studio at least? Did you guys have
I think
your
we
own
both we were
situation?
talking about that.
Yeah.
We both
Yeah.
are very fortunate that we had everything set up.
Oh,
Because if you-
beforehand. Right,
Because if
Yeah.
you needed to go in and set up a studio at that point, things were sold out from what I
Mhm.
heard. Mike's Source Connect was difficult to get lined up.
Yeah.
That's what we used generally to the software kind of to record things and connect with studios. And I was so happy that everything
You
was set
already
up.
kind of
Yeah.
to set yourself up for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had set myself up just because I wanted to have a nice space where I could audition
Right.
and if work came in, and I do work there occasionally
Sure.
prior to the pandemic, but I wanted that at home. I needed a quiet, peaceful space where
Right.
I could go work.
That was easy to get to.
Yeah.
You didn't have to go through LA
Yeah,
traffic to
yeah.
get there, right?
But I mean, it's interesting that so many actors spend a lot of money to make their studios so that they could work from home,
Right.
and now they don't want to go back to the studios, and their studios are good. They're good, so there's nothing wrong with their studios, but there's nothing like a professional studio.
Yeah.
I mean, my studio is great. I was recording in there yesterday, and I go, oh, got to hold for a plane.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Wait, no. Yeah, no. Okay, he's circling back. And there's just certain things. I mean, the sound quality is great,
Right.
but it's nice that we're starting to go back to
And
real studios.
Is there a difference in the notes of having somebody who's instead just behind glass versus having to be like on a Google Meet or even a phone call and be like, we didn't really hear that, or could you blah 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 like that? How's that experience any different, or is it just easier for you to be able to step into a professional studio? I'm curious what that process is even like, or how it's changed over the past couple of years.
I mean, I think especially with anime or dubbing in video games and stuff like that, there definitely is something with having somebody there that's directing you, and you kind of, and there's also some banter and stuff going on, but I don't know. I feel like other genres like commercial and stuff have also been from home for so long that, or even if you're in a studio, you're patched in.
Yeah.
So they haven't really been there.
Yeah.
But then there's definitely now all of the different people and the clients and this and that that are listening
Right.
are all calling in from their homes and on Zoom. And so there
Right.
are times when they're like, wait, I heard something in that. I'm not sure if it was Zoom or if that was a crack, and then
Right.
the quality isn't. So there's that kind of a thing. But I think certain things it's more enjoyable to be.
It's
in the
not
studio.
that honestly, it's really not that big of a change,
Sure.
the relationship with the director, but it's nice to be able to make
Right.
contact,
Yeah.
Right.
eye contact,
Yeah.
when you're working, and I miss hugging.
Yeah.
I my directors, whether men, women, boom, we're always hugging.
Right.
And the physical contact and the camaraderie, and running into other actors as you're
Just-
coming in
yeah.
and going
Yeah.
out of the studio.
Yep.
The socialization, I miss that a lot.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Or maybe even just as networking, what has that been like in terms of like, you were just talking about, oh, I work with this person that leads to and then so much of this industry is relationships, And so how has that changed for both of you? Like in terms of both helping others that you're like, oh, you would be amazing for this, but it's so much harder to put them in contact with other people. Is there a difference in that? I'm kind of, I mean, it's kind of a weird question, but it's something that I think about a lot when it comes to just our own ability to just have relationships with other people. It just seems like it's either I already knew you or something like that. Is there a difference you would say?
Uh,
Not
I
really?
haven't noticed anything
I mean-
huge as far as the networking.
no, because I feel like there's people. It's like people have done things differently, sort of like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Streamily is like the
Yeah.
the pandemic response
Right,
to
that's true,
cons,
right.
conventions and things and signings.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's a different way.
yeah,
Things were already going that way anyway. Not that it isn't great to go to an event like a voiceover event where you're with all of your kind of counterparts and
Right.
people get to see each other in person.
Right.
It definitely is really nice, and I
Right.
feel like, and having that FaceTime is huge. Whether it's with other directors, client, whatever,
Right.
always having that FaceTime is different than
Yeah.
just
meeting
hearing your
over
voice.
right,
Yeah.
Yeah.
two-dimensional
Yep.
screen, right?
There's a more personal. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't know what we'll
Continue
what we'll
from
be
that,
able to
right.
what those things are that I mean
Yeah.
I guess conventions and this and that, but
Yeah, whenever they come back with so many of them getting canceled. We have a great question from the chat. Do you have any advice for getting over creative blocks? Or have you whether it be an audition, right? Like you get a character and you're just like, I don't know. What would I do here? Do you guys have any any tricks that you usually use? Or like even like vocal
you go
tricks?
for this. He's
Well-
Kirk is laughing.
Well, see, I mean, that's what my acting school was. We called it, they called it Dr. Bob's Actor Factory. But, but what it kind of did was all this stuff that they taught us, that playing actions and
Right.
objectives and images and all these different actor things that you do, you pretty much do naturally.
Yeah.
And they just gave you techniques to deal with these things.
Right.
If you ran into a block, and so that's what. Yeah, when I run into a block, I kind of reach into my bag. I feel like I just reach into my bag of
Yeah.
tricks and
Oh,
go,
right.
okay,
Yeah.
let's see, what am I missing here? I'm missing environment. So I'll play environment. Or what am I missing? I'm missing a strong objective. So let me write down a strong objective. Or I'm not getting in touch with him, so I need a very strong image, or even just a picture in my mind of what this character looks like.
How often
so-
do they give you actually like concept work of like, here's what your character might end up looking like in the audition? Do they give you that at all in an audition? Or is that like, I booked the job and they're like, okay, here's more information about
Sometimes.
the show?
Sometimes they do, and
Really?
a lot of times what they'll do is they'll give you a reference. So
Right.
this guy is kind of like so and so from this
Yeah,
game,
yeah.
or so and so, or kind of like this actor from this movie.
Right.
So
So they give you at least like
Yeah.
jumping off points. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
what do you have any?
Yeah, no,
you
it's the
do?
same. I feel like there's definitely a lot of that, which is nice because it gives you an idea like, oh, I can envision what this person is like.
Yeah.
Or and I do like when I get to see the actual
Right. Character. Right.
Yeah.
but I've definitely gone into things not knowing.
Totally blind.
Like when I did Hanma, I did not know when I was first recording, I did not know what I was like, which one am I? And when I found out, I was like, oh, like okay, I have to like completely, yeah. So, and then I was able to change and formulate that character based on this incredible, creature.
Yeah.
So,
Do either of you have any, and specifically in the voiceover, I saw this earlier in the chat. Do you have any directors that you guys had worked with that you felt like really changed your performance? Maybe not your performance style, but some of your trajectory, or like that you just felt inspired by, like a director that you think is doing great stuff in either the anime world or the video game world that you were really glad that you got the chance to work with? Anything like that, or someone who you appreciated getting you on another project?
I mean, I have a couple favorite
Right.
directors, but they're not. They're more game directors than
Sure.
anime directors.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Trying to think of favorite anime directors. I don't know if I really have.
I mean,
a
from
favorite.
games either. I think that's yeah.
I mean, I like. I like the act. I'm not an actor that needs a lot of stroking.
Sure.
Some actors do.
Yeah, for sure.
I like directors that kind of kick my ass.
Yeah.
And one of those is Ginny McSwain, and she'll kick my ass. And another one is, and he doesn't kick my ass, but I just adore the man, is Jack Fletcher.
Yeah.
Just because he's so intelligent and so witty and just he's a great director.
Yeah.
But Ginny McSwain, she calls me on my bullshit. I'll be doing something. She'll say, no, you're giving me a summer stock read. Don't give me the summer stock read.
Yeah.
Give me something honest. And I'm like, you're right. I was giving you a summer stock read. And so yeah.
It's nice to have somebody
Who calls you on that?
calls you on stuff.
Yeah.
Or is able to really just like put you in the environment. They're able to just totally my first ever director was when I worked on Star Wars was Will Beckman, who was so
Yeah.
kind because I was very nervous. And I look back at that and it's just this like young me who had come from the on-camera world and was just trying to like figure this out, right?
Yeah.
So I look back, but he really was great and kind of held my hand through it in a way and made sure we had fun and we would joke about different things. And so that was nice. My gosh, Kal-El is an incredible. I worked with him on some Disney stuff. I did like it's like a Disney podcast narration kind of a thing. But then also working with him on video games, and he is able to just open up. You could just see it in his brain. He's like, what about this? And over here, this is happening. And then you walk in and you're like, yeah. And and so you're both getting excited about it.
Yeah.
And that is amazing. And I love people that are able to kind of flip that.
Yeah. Maybe that's the better question is like, what do you find in a director that like brings the best performance out of you? Like getting called out, being like, like, oh, you're right. I need to not give a summer stock rate, but more specific, is there anything else other than that when a director gives you or facilitates you in a certain way, you find that you just flourish underneath it? Like, do you need space? Do you need somebody who's just on your butt? Like, like, I don't believe it. Like pivot.
You just triggered something in me, and that which I really enjoy is a director who feeds off of me, and there's this give and take, and they'll say, hey, why don't you do this? And I'll go, oh yeah, and then how about if I did that? And they go, oh yeah, and then do this, and then I'll do that, and then it just keeps snowballing, and there's a real excitement in the creative process.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah,
that's fun because then it does create a whole nother world.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know if like. But I don't know if people are necessarily the same, like your experience when you were going through the like conservative process of your, damn you, I don't feel like people are so that intense in the voiceover world, So I like that. I like that they can tell you like, no, and I like having the room to play. I like having a little room, to kind of play around, And I've had to learn that myself. I've had to learn that it's better if I do that.
Yeah.
Right.
If I go in and just trying to like read the lines sort of in the straight fashion,
right?
It's just much better, and I'm much happier with myself if I really play around and add a little extra life to it. So I like when people allow that.
Right, allow that atmosphere. Okay, one more question for me, and that is, we started talking about kind of your guys' early life. If you could go back to either you entering your conservatory program or you first getting kind of talked into like, okay, maybe I'll try it out, right? If you could give that version of yourself any advice, or you could whisper something in there, what would it be?
That's a good question.
You both just took a great deep breath in. That was great.
Because I have like a couple different thoughts on that.
If you have a couple things, that's great too.
Because on one hand, it's like the journey led me
right. Maybe you don't want
so many places that it also led me and allowed me to figure things out and grow and get to where I am. I do know that I am always happy to help in any way I can, right? If people are asking me questions like, what did you do? You know, it definitely would have been nice. I knew nobody when I moved out here. I knew nobody. I had no answers to any questions, and I had to really figure things out. It would have been nice to have taken a few shortcuts and then, you know, saved a few years in there.
Sure.
But yeah, I think I mean, I think coaching, making sure you're coaching and that I think one of the biggest things is also being sort of malleable and open in a way. If I hadn't have been open to other things,
Right.
you know, I wouldn't be in this career that I'm in, because I was definitely on a couple different paths, and then I'm like, oh, let me see this, you know. I don't know. What tell me what you think, because I feel like there's probably more. I would have more to say to that, and I'm just
I'm trying to figure out what I would, you know, what I would tell myself to have changed things. Gosh.
You definitely thought of something.
But no, that it has nothing to do with acting.
That's fun.
And it's something I've just been learning recently. I would have told myself to save a little better, to save money.
Fair enough.
Because I lived as an actor,
Right.
I lived hand to mouth for years and years and did not put anything away.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm looking now, I'm going, wait a minute. I don't have.
I think that is pretty good acting advice, though.
But
this industry very much is kind of either hand to mouth or like all at once, and then you're just dry for however long.
And you can put, even no matter how bad it is, you can cut back on something and put a little something away.
Right.
You can do it. And I just didn't do it.
It's easy not to.
But but you know, doing it now, so
yeah.
it's never too late.
I think I started that later than I probably should have as well. But
I think everyone does, especially, you know,
retirement plans and all those grown-up stuff.
Yeah, especially entering college, you're not thinking anything. You're like, oh,
yeah.
I'll get to,
you're like,
I'll
I
get
got
to
forever.
that. I got my 20s. I got
Yeah.
my whatever.
Yeah.
But thank you both for being here. I appreciate you guys taking a moment to talk to me and to talk to us about this. And just thank you
for
again.
having us.
Yeah,
Thank you for having us.
Did we?
I know. I'm trying to see if
Did
there's
we not
if there are
answer-
people that are.
There's a couple of different questions. Some of them just ended up getting kind of balled into one. Like, well, do you think that the hugging is lovely, Kirk? Agreed. When playing a character in a romantic scene, have you ever had feelings for someone, or is it always professional? I mean, I assume it's usually professional. You know, you're also on stage, so it's like it's hard for me to feel some sort of way.
Well, my wife is an actress, and that's how we started out.
Really?
Yeah. Really?
Were you romantic?
Yeah. We
Really?
Yeah, it was a great story.
Oh, there we go.
She had been in a show that was off Broadway, and it moved to Broadway, and she was the only character that didn't move because the writer put her partner in my wife's role, and so it just devastated her. And so she said, "I want to get out of here." And so she wanted to do. I'm going to go. Somebody approached her about cruise ships, so. She went out and did theater, not song and dance, but theater on cruise ships. And then she said, well, you know, if I just got one other actor, then, you know, that would be a pretty good thing. All they would take up is one, they'd only take up one cabin.
Right.
And so she asked her friends, you know, about a versatile actor and came up with me. And so that's how we started out. We put together a bunch of material, sold it to the cruise ships, and then we went out on cruise ships.
Oh my gosh!
What exactly?
What
What was that material? Was it like monologues? Was it scenes that you guys would do? Was it
both? It was. We had like 2 one-act plays, and then we would do an evening of Noel Coward, an evening of Neil Simon, an
That's
evening
really
of.
cool.
That is really cool.
I want to be on that shit.
That's really cool. And you know, so it's not just a role that you guys are in, but it's also the whole environment of being on a cruise ship together
Right.
On a
always.
cruise ship,
Yeah.
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 Getting a little champagne buzz and going up to the bow of the ship at
I can see
midnight.
how that's a little romantic. And,
Yeah,
yeah.
could be.
It's
That's
gonna
right.
lead to other things.
And then we did a bunch of theater together also. So.
Right.
But I don't know, as far as ever having romantic feelings towards any actresses that I don't really think I did. That I was doing
Yeah, I don't-
scenes with or plays or anything like that.
I don't particularly think I did either. I do remember being doing a movie once where the person opposite me told me that he had feelings,
Yeah.
and I was like, I think you're just feeling the
Yeah.
Mhm.
the roles here.
Yeah.
Nothing ever came of that, but yeah.
How has, and this is one from the bottom I just saw, as how has the pandemic kind of changed your career? And we've talked about it when it comes to like, working in your own studio. I know it's a thing in the way. But in terms of like even your goals for your career going forward, has the pandemic made you go, maybe I want to take a step back and do some more theater? Or, I really want to get into performance capture. Has it changed any of your, even just the way that you view the industry? I mean, these last couple of years in general have just been crazy. So has it changed? How has your relationship with the industry changed since 2019 ended?
Well, I think I loved it then, and I love it even more now because
Yeah.
we're
we're
we're the
working like
performing
crazy.
arts. We did not have a lull. There was about 2 weeks there
Yeah.
where I think everybody was just holding their breath,
Yeah.
like what is going to happen, and then we started moving forward.
Yeah.
And then they had to do, video games
Right.
are still everybody's at home watching
Mhm.
TV,
Right.
watching video games.
Yeah, all
They
the
need to be
content.
advertised. All these things
Right.
need to keep going, and we were already working from home.
You had the
The
studio.
studios kind of had to figure it. I remember working on a campaign, and I remember the sound engineer having to roll out all his stuff and take it home and get everything set up at home.
Really?
Yeah, at least what he could.
Right in
and,
his
you
own
know.
office.
But I think that I think it just made me appreciate even more. I just feel like what we've been able to do, and thank God for the internet.
Mm.
Because if this were, a couple decades ago, we wouldn't be able to have done that.
Right.
We're able to do this because of where we're at and
Mhm.
with society and technology.
being
But
able to
I
connect that
definitely
way.
don't. But I don't think I was able to still continue.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I'm interested in this. I want to study some of this. I was
Yeah.
able to continue all the things I was doing before.
Right.
There wasn't really a
Hmm.
lull. I just
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, there was the hiccup, and that was about
Yeah,
it. Where
yeah.
we kind of went,
Very small. Yeah.
okay, let's get back
Pivot.
working.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
we're full speed again.
Yep. And then it's remained.
Kind of
Easy.
full
And
speed.
then the difference is a lot of on camera, and you probably a lot of my on camera friends were calling, how do I get into voice? How do I do this? What do I buy? Yeah. Yeah. Because
Yeah.
they had their
Right. What am I gonna do?
unfortunately, yeah.
Mhm.
Right.
And some of them that were on camera and also working in bars or working in restaurants, they had nothing.
No.
Yeah.
It was it was a scary time for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So we were very fortunate. I definitely feel that way.
For sure. All right.
I saw an interesting question in
Oh,
here,
good.
but I couldn't tell about it. It says some unrelated questions to Maria.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if they meant Marie or like I'm assuming they mean me,
Yeah.
not my character Maria. My hobbies. I don't know. I love music.
Mhm.
I know that's a lot of people do, but I really love music. I like live music. I like
Do you play anything?
I am a jack of I've dabbled in many different things. My dad is a musician, a really talented musician. So
Yeah.
I play a little bit of piano.
Okay.
I played a little bit of trumpet, a little bit of violin,
And that's
a little bit of
Great.
ukulele, but nothing to like that I could just like play some stuff. You know?
Right.
I mostly just like to dabble in a lot of things. So
Okay.
I love music. I have I enjoyed traveling.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of all the
Do you have a
things.
favorite trip?
Dancing. I love going to wine country.
Like here
Big
in,
fan of, like,
California.
Napa, Sonoma,
Yeah.
or like or just up to like Santa Barbara.
What about you, Kirk? Do you have any like hobbies? Like what keeps you sane outside of acting? Do you have a vice?
I was doing it right before I got here.
Really?
Yeah. I play softball.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
okay. Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
With a group of guys that have been playing together for over 40 years.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
That's
Um,
really cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have small kids, so it's kind of like
It's hard
I
to
don't really have
schedule around.
time
Oh,
for
yeah.
a lot of hobbies.
Yeah.
I think I used to have more hobbies.
Right.
Someday.
Right. Yeah. When they're out of the house. Right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again for being here. I really appreciate it. I appreciate the chance to pick both
Thank
of your
you so
brains at
much.
least a little
Yeah, that's
bit.
been fun.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you all for being here, and
And
just so you guys know,
thanks
that
for
these
tuning in.
stories.
Yes, thank you so much, you guys. I don't know if we can go back and look at some of these and respond later. I don't know how it works, but
But thank you very much.
Yeah.
Have a good one.
Thanks, you too. Have a good
thank
weekend,
you.
everyone.
Thank you, everyone.